You probably think the 70s were all about women's liberation. But behind the scenes, Hollywood was still terrifyingly controlling. They made Katharine Hepburn walk around in her underwear, just for wearing pants. They censored Barbara Eden's belly button. And if you gained 5 pounds, you risked losing your career. So, what other outrageous rules did these women have to follow? This video breaks down 5 disturbing rules actresses had to follow, and the bold women who defied them. The weight prison. The first rule that'll shock you is what I call the weight prison. Perhaps the most shocking rules were those targeting actresses' bodies and weight. The studios of earlier decades had been notorious for imposing extreme diets and appearance regimes on young actresses, a practice that cast a long shadow into the 1970s. Thin was in, and Hollywood would go to disturbing lengths to keep actresses slim. Take Judy Garland's experience at MGM as the horrifying blueprint that shaped everything that followed. The studio forced her onto starvation-style diets of black coffee and chicken soup, handed out amphetamines to kill her appetite, and gave her sleeping pills to crash after the stimulants wore off. It was a pharmaceutical nightmare disguised as career management. This became the template for how studios thought actresses should be controlled. Now, here's the crazy part. By the 1970s, the worst tactics like handing out amphetamines had declined, but the expectation of staying sample size persisted. Studios still had actresses stepping on scales regularly. Miss your target weight by even a few pounds? Your next movie deal vanished. Costume designers kept backup outfits in smaller sizes just in case an actress dropped weight too quickly. Kim Novak ended up hospitalized after an extreme purge attempt. Marlene Dietrich survived on restrictive liquid and cottage cheese regimens. Greta Garbo had episodes where she'd eat nothing but spinach. The pressure didn't care if you were box office gold or a newcomer trying to make it. Everyone faced the same impossible standards. While regular women were throwing away their girdles and celebrating curves, Hollywood actresses were getting more restricted than ever. The world was changing, but the movie business stayed stuck in some twisted time warp where skinny equaled success. The brutal truth? These women were driven to dangerous diets, stimulants, hospitalizations, and lifelong anxieties for our entertainment. Some passed out on set from hunger. Others developed heart problems from the pills. But the cameras kept rolling because the show had to go on. The human cost was staggering. Many never recovered from the damage this did to their bodies and minds. The psychological scars lasted decades. Some never learned how to eat normally again. They'd spent so many years treating food like the enemy that normal meals felt like failure. But weight wasn't the only thing studios obsessed over. They had rules about every inch of these women's bodies. Legacy of studio-era dress codes. Many of the fashion rules that Hollywood actresses contended with in the 1970s were holdovers from the Golden Age studio system. The studio system had once dictated stars' every public appearance, controlling what they ate, wore, and did in public. Although the system legally dissolved in the late 40s and 50s, the cultural expectations lingered through studio bosses, producers, network censors, and publicists, who continued policing appearances even after contracts loosened. Take the famous Katharine Hepburn story that perfectly shows how brutal this control was. RKO executives literally confiscated her trousers because they thought pants were too masculine for a leading lady. So what did Hepburn do? She showed up to work the next day parading around the studio lot in her underwear until they gave her pants back. That's the level of control we're talking about here. See, leading ladies were still expected to look and behave like glamorous movie stars at all times, even when studios had no real power anymore. Picture this insanity. You're a successful actress in 1974. The studio system died 20 years ago. But try showing up to a premiere in jeans and sneakers. See how fast the press tears you apart. The expectations stayed locked in place like concrete. I'm talking about an unwritten code that frowned on casual wear or unkempt appearances, like actresses were always on display. Paparazzi followed stars to coffee shops and judged their outfit choices. Fashion magazines printed photos of celebrities looking normal and called it scandalous. Being human became a career risk. The crazy part? Actresses could wear pants, display midriffs, or choose avant-garde couture, but every choice was weighed against contracts and marketability. Freedom came with a price tag attached. You could break the rules if you were willing to risk your next movie deal. So while the 70s offered more daring style opportunities, they were always filtered through gatekeepers and image management. Every outfit decision went through committees of people worried about public reaction. Fashion choices became business decisions first and personal expression second. Here's the real kicker. Fashion became both a tool of liberation and a battleground of power at the same time. Actresses used clothing to make statements while fighting against people who wanted to control those statements. These pressures produced both compliance and rebellion, creating the complex mix of conformity and defiance that defined the decade. The strict censorship. The second rule is strict censorship. You're not gonna believe this. They actually banned belly buttons on television. Network executives sat in boardrooms and decided navels were too scandalous for American families. Like somehow showing a belly button would corrupt the entire nation or something. Even after the strict Hays Code collapsed, TV networks clung to ridiculous censorship rules. See, movies were starting to push boundaries in the late 60s and early 70s. But television? They acted like showing skin would cause mass hysteria. NBC eventually formalized costume rules after press attention to Barbara Eden's Genie. Earlier on the network had not been that strict. Here's what really happened with I Dream of Jeannie. A Hollywood Reporter writer kept asking Eden to show her belly button. She joked about charging him for it, the story went public, and then NBC had the costume changed. They had costume designers working overtime to create special belly button covers using flesh-colored fabric and strategic draping just to hide one tiny part of the human body that literally everyone has. Networks monitored necklines and midriffs, often using flesh-toned bodysuits, linings, and tape to avoid exposed skin. Star Trek guest costumes used jewels or fabrics to hide navels. Variety show performers had to wear flesh-toned undergarments and use strategic tape just to stay within these so-called decency standards. Dancers on shows like The Carol Burnett Show spent hours in makeup chairs getting their bodies taped and covered. Now, get this. While movies were getting more provocative after the Hays Code ended, TV was still acting like it was 1950. Films were showing nudity and adult themes, but that created new types of pressure on actresses to accept nude scenes as part of career advancement. Turn on your television, though, actresses couldn't even show their natural waistline. The disconnect was absolutely insane. Shirts had to stay modest, cleavage was controlled down to the inch, and certain body parts were treated like they didn't exist. Costume designers spent hours figuring out how to hide bra lines with tape and padding. They created these elaborate contraptions to make everything look smooth and covered. Some actresses needed help from multiple assistants just to get dressed because of all the tape and hidden support garments required. Here's the kicker. All of this happened while the rest of America was embracing the sexual revolution. Regular people were wearing miniskirts, halter tops, and bikinis to the grocery store. But turn on prime television and actresses looked like they were dressed for church in 1955. So while regular women were wearing miniskirts and going braless, actresses were getting more restricted than ever before. Television had become this weird bubble where normal human bodies were treated like dangerous weapons. But that was nothing compared to what happened when the industry decided to flip the script entirely. Sexist-style norms. In the late 1970s, American television introduced a new breed of female-driven shows that paradoxically both empowered and objectified their stars. The rise of Jiggle TV created a whole new prison for actresses, where sex appeal wasn't just preferred, it was mandatory. See, network executives figured out they could have their cake and eat it too. Give women these supposedly empowered roles while making sure they looked like pinup models doing it. It was genius marketing disguised as progress. I'm talking about shows like Charlie's Angels, Wonder Woman, and Three's Company that were literally built around making women into eye candy. These weren't accidents or happy coincidences. Writers and producers sat in meetings planning exactly how to get these women into the skimpiest outfits possible every single week. They had unwritten rules and production tactics that virtually guaranteed at least one revealing moment per episode. See, these productions followed an unwritten rule. You had to appear in revealing outfits regularly to boost ratings. Didn't matter if your character was a detective, a superhero, or just trying to pay rent. The costume department always found ways to strip you down. Scriptwriters became masters at creating random scenarios that demanded skimpy clothing. Suddenly, every case required going undercover at a pool party. Every mission needed someone to distract the bad guys with their looks. The cast was expected to perform in bikinis, halter tops, and provocative costumes, whether it made sense for the story or not. Farrah Fawcett once joked that she spent more time worrying about her bra showing than her acting. Angie Dickinson complained about gratuitous bath scenes written into Policewoman just to get her undressed. The plots bent around the outfits instead of the other way around. And get this, the actresses knew exactly what was happening. They weren't stupid. They understood the game being played with their bodies and careers. Some played along because the paychecks were good. Others fought back and found themselves written off shows or replaced with more cooperative performers. They dealt with constant fashion tape, high heels during action scenes, and pressure to maintain that perfect Farrah hair look. Now here's the sick irony. These women could be action heroes, but only if they served as visual entertainment first. You want to be tough? Fine. Just make sure you're tough in a way that looks good in slow motion. Want to be smart? Great. Be smart while wearing something that shows off your figure. The deal was simple and cynical. Producers used sex appeal as a ratings strategy while marketing these shows as female-led. This created a complex mix of empowerment and objectification. Sure, women can be powerful as long as they're pretty well doing it. But not every actress was willing to play by these rules forever. Red carpet rules and rebellion in the 1970s. That's when some brave women finally said enough is enough and started the red carpet rebellion that changed everything. See, by the late 60s and early 70s, a few actresses decided they were done playing dress-up according to some old men's rulebook. They turned awards shows into their personal battlegrounds. And trust me, the establishment was not ready for what hit them. The red carpet became a battleground between tradition and rebellion, with high-profile moments that split public opinion. Picture this scene. You've got these stuffy Academy Award ceremonies where everyone knew exactly what to expect. Edith Head sent out memos in 1968 asking for long gowns only at the Oscars. Women showed up in floor-length dresses. Period. End of story. The same boring formula year after year. Then, some gutsy actresses decided to crack open that whole conservative system. See, there was this unwritten rule that the Oscars meant long gowns only. No exceptions, no discussion. The fashion police had everyone trained like show dogs. Walk down that red carpet in anything other than a flowing dress, you might as well have shown up naked. The press would tear you apart. Your career could take a hit. Nobody dared mess with the formula. Then, Barbra Streisand showed up in 1969 wearing a sequined sheer pantsuit that looked like a translucent tuxedo. Can you imagine the nerve it took to walk into that room? She knew every camera would focus on her outfit. Every reporter would ask her about the choice, but she did it anyway. That outfit was like a middle finger to decades of stuffy tradition. The reaction? The stage lights revealed she was slightly transparent, which became a scandal that split public opinion right down the middle. Some people loved it, called her bold and modern. Others hated everything about it, said she was disrespecting the ceremony. The fashion critics went absolutely nuts. But here's the thing, everyone was talking about it, and that meant the old rules were starting to crack. Now get this, Jane Fonda took it even further in 1972 with an all-black Yves Saint Laurent pantsuit with a Mao-style collar. This wasn't some random fashion choice either. Fonda planned every detail of that outfit as a deliberate anti-war statement against Vietnam. That black pantsuit said more about her politics than any speech could have. She turned her red carpet moment into activism, made her clothes speak louder than words. And you know what happened? These outfits helped crack open a conservative dress code, not destroy it overnight. By the mid-1970s, pants on the red carpet became acceptable because these women paved the way. Other actresses started experimenting too. The floodgates opened wide. Other stars like Diane Keaton and Cher started pushing boundaries too, proving that bold personal style could coexist with Hollywood glamour. Each rebel made it easier for the next woman to break more rules. The reality is these actresses lived under 5 brutal categories of control that shaped their entire careers. Weight and diet pressure that kept them sample size. Mandatory glamour requiring perfect makeup and hair. TV modesty rules like the Genie navel ban. Jiggle TV objectification that turned strength into eye candy. And red carpet dress codes that policed every public appearance. These women faced impossible choices every single day between conforming to archaic standards or risking everything for personal freedom. But here's the beautiful part. Women like Katharine Hepburn parading in her underwear, Barbra Streisand's sheer pantsuit scandal, Jane Fonda's anti-war fashion statement, and Farrah Fawcett joking about her bra showing all chipped away at these rules. Their rebellions loosened those edicts for later generations. Which of these 5 rules surprised you most? Or which actress's example do you remember best? If you liked this video, make sure to watch the other videos in our channel about beautiful ladies of yesteryear.